Before we can create any charts for qualitative variables, we must first create a frequency table. Remember that frequency tables just count the number of times every single subcategory occurs in the dataset. We already made a table for the frequency of different eye colors. We counted up the frequencies, then calculated the percentages and cumulative percentage. In Excel, the tool used to create a frequency table is called a pivot table. To create a pivot table, you select the table where the data is stored, navigate to the Insert tab on the main ribbon, select Pivot Table, and press OK to insert a pivot table into a new worksheet, a new workbook, or also into the existing worksheet. You learn to construct pivot tables in ISB 3026 Spreadsheets for Business. For our purposes and using pivot tables for statistical analysis, we're generally going to use pivot tables for one variable or pivot tables for two variables. If you make a pivot table with one variable, it's just your basic frequency table that will count the number of people or objects in every single category. So it will list all of your category names and then the counts. In order to get this table, you will need to pick which variable you want to make the table for. Then you'll drag that variable into the rows and the values section. The most complex we'll get in this course is a pivot table for two tables or a two-way frequency table. For this type of table, you'll list all the categories for variable 1 in the rows, all the categories for variable 2 in the columns, and then count the number of people that fall into both of those categories at the same time. In order to do this, you will need to put the variable you want in the rows. You'll click it from the field list and drag it into the rows. The one you want to appear in the columns here, you'll click it from the field list, drag into the columns. Then for the values, you can drag either of the variables you use into the values section and it will do the math. So count the number of people that fall into each of those categories. Once you've created the pivot table that you need, so either a one-way or a two-way table, you can then use it to build charts. Watch and work through the rest of the videos and lesson pages to learn more about building these charts in Excel.